Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Mr. Minority coming at you with another video. This one's, again, a little bit different. So, now that Regulation D is going to be coming upon us and the floodgates are going to be open, proverbially speaking, where all Pokemon of all manners of strengths and more strengths are going to be flooding the VGC scene, I'll just take this opportunity to rest in peace Paldea region and do a bit of a tier list. Who knows if future regulations might go back to a more exclusive list, but for now it's the end of the exclusive Paldea Pokedex as we know it. So this will be, of course, a raw, unedited video, not because, of course, I can't edit videos, but because we like raw and unedited, don't we? Okay, so hopefully this doesn't need a whole lot of explaining. S to D tier, I actually kind of did a little bit of a list, but it's all out of order, so, whatever. And I made that list when I was working outside in 100+ degree weather, for those of you Fahrenheit people, so it probably wasn't sound anyway, and this one's going to be no more sound. Okay, so I'm only going to do, for the most part, final evolution stages, a few exceptions, Murkrow looking at you, things like that. But okay, let's get started. Let's have, without any further ado, start to this. Okay. Tinkaton. I would put Tinkaton in the B tier. Tinkaton has really great typing, but just not the bulk, not the really move set. Really excellent typing. Very disappointing that Tinkaton can't do more, but not that meta. Not that meta. Armarouge would be a solid A. I would put Armarouge in S tier pre-regulation C before all the well, I would say even to extent before that, there's a bunch of darks walking around, right, with all the treasures of ruins, so that kind of ruins in on Armarouge's day, but still a very strong option. Celerouge, I probably would say A. There are some options, and pretty good options, right? Not as strong as Armarouge, though, so I'm going to try to, generally speaking, within the tier, maybe separate a little bit where I can, because Armarouge is a very strong A. Celerouge is definitely not a strong A, but I would say. Toedscruel is, I've seen this thing maybe once in play. Again, this is just deriving from my few months of experience playing online in a few hundred battles. Maybe you could do something with it, so I'll put it in C, but I really don't know. King Gambit. I'm kind of floating between these two. King Gambit's very strong, especially in the current format, with his Defiant and his anti-intimidate meta. I don't know. It's just the lack of speed, but then of course he gets access to Sucker Punch. I'm going to put him in the A tier for now. He's really good. Clodsire, I don't know what the heck to do with this Pokemon. Annihilate is S tier, I would say, but pretty low S tier in the current meta. It used to be higher. I maybe could see him putting him into the A tier. Just the Mouse-Ape combination with Beat Up and then Rage Fist is just such a dangerous combination for those who aren't aware. Or prepared for it, and just so much bulk, good options to go all out with either offense or defense. Medicham I would put in C. You can do a little bit with him. I saw one Medicham with, of course, the skill swap with Slacking, but you really can't do much. Almost want to put him in D tier. Gulpin, I'm putting him in D tier. Swalot, sorry. If I misname some of these guys, I'm sorry. Especially these older Pokemon, because again, I've been away from Pokemon for 10 years. Camerupt, I'm going to put into D. You probably could do a little bit with him, maybe put him into C, but I'm going to put him in D. I've maybe faced him once in VGC. Torkoal, I'm going to put him in A. A. The previous ranking I did, I had one more tier when I was doing that other tier list. I'll put him in A. Anyone who puts up the weather is going to be strong, and I think he's stronger than Pelipper right now because of the Paradox Pokemon synergy, whereas Pelipper doesn't get that with those Paradox Pokemon. Grumpig is D, you can't do shit with this Pokemon. Cacturne is D, Altaria is C. I would say the bulk allows you to do maybe a little bit of stuff. Zangoose D, Sea Viper D, these guys are no need really to explain. D. Banette, I've never seen a Banette before. D. Tropius D, Glalie D. These guys are really getting a lot of love here, I can tell. Salamence. Salamence is interesting. I haven't seen him, but I really think he could do some damage. I've thought of a Outrage Choice Band Moxie one. Who Terror Slices into a dragon. Obviously the dragon's not meta because of Fairy, but you know, if you had some bulk, you could definitely survive probably maybe one Moonblast unless the Fluttermane has choice specs and or Terrastalizes. I'm gonna put Salamence in C for now, which is disappointing putting such a powerful Pokemon that low. I haven't seen it. This is again based on my experience, not too much on Theorex. I think there's a little bit of Theorex going on here, but not much. Staraptor, I'm gonna put him also in C. There's Intimidates, same thing as Salamence. Any Intimidate it has a lot of utility, but besides close combating and a few other things, there's not really a whole lot Staraptor can do. Maybe access to Tailwind, but again, if Staraptor does have access to Tailwind, so many better choices. Kricketune is definitely a D. Me, I think I have access to Intimidate, but again, and it's kind of, yeah, this guy has the bulk, Luxray, but again, any physical electric guy is going to suffer because even with Iron Hands, because just you don't have access to that great physical electric moves, and if you are, you're doing damage to yourself with Wild Charge, right? Vespiquen I'm going to put in D, maybe could be put in C. Just anyone bug typing is going to suffer. Bug type is, despite the buff a few generations ago, it's still probably the worst typing in the game. Floatzel, definitely with the Swift Swim, maybe put it in the B tier. Just there's no bulk to this thing. I'm going to try to put it a little higher here. Try to organize this tier a little bit. I just think with I've never seen a Toedsquirrel. I think it's a very one-trick pony, right? You know, if you don't have rain, you don't have anything going for you really. Gastrodon has always been strong in the meta. I feel like I should put Gastrodon maybe a little higher. I haven't seen that many, to be honest with you. But Gastrodon is typically a pretty decent choice. Rain Dance isn't super meta right now. I could see that if Rain Dance became more meta, especially maybe with the Palafin when he was, then Gastrodon would be a little bit more meta. But right now, I don't. Maybe low A, but I'm going to put him in the B tier. Drifloon, I'll put him in the C tier. I've seen a few usages in VGC of Drifloon, so I'll put it there. Not a whole lot of usage, though. Mismagius, I'll put D. I don't like putting Mismagius down this low because of the higher speed and special attack stat. Usually if you have high speed, you can at least do something before you die. But I don't think I've seen a single Mismagius. It just, I don't know. Skunktank's definitely going down there. There's just going to be so many in this D tier. The Honchkrow, where the frick is, I'll put Honchkrow down here in D. Never seen I've seen the Honchkrow maybe once. Bronzong is a pretty strong Trick Room setter. Always has been, probably always will. I'll put Bronzong in B. Trick Room's not that meta right now. I think maybe with Regieleki, and a lot of Prankster Tailwinders coming up, and like the Landorus and Thundurus, whatever. I don't know. Again, I wasn't there during those generations, or at least to be that familiar with them. Trick Room might come up, but again, something like Cresselia, I'm not going to go too much into it. It would probably be a much better Trick Room, but Trick Room would probably be a little bit more meta. Spiritomb, I've never seen a Spiritomb. Garchomp's good. I'm going to put Garchomp up here in A. I obviously had Garchomp on my earlier team. Garchomp's a very solid Pokemon, good speed, good stats all around. The double weakness is unfortunate. Obviously, you can Terrasilize for that, but good solid Pokemon. Probably could use a bit of a better ability, but you can still use it to your advantage. I don't see Lucario. Lucario just doesn't have the bulk. Hippowdon. I want to put Hippowdon a little higher. You get the Sandstorm, which is always nice. I haven't really seen them in Hippowdons, and if they're on the field, they're fairly quickly dispatched, or you can ignore them. I don't know. I can't really see it too much higher than B. Than C, excuse me. But you know, if you're facing physical attackers, you can be a pretty good wall to deal damage and not die. Toxicroak, D, useless. Lumion, D. I think there may be 1 or 2 usages, but not really. So Abomasnow, same thing kind of as Hippowdon, but I'll put much higher in the C tier. Well, maybe Abomasnow himself just doesn't really do anything. I was kind of disappointed that we didn't see a more snow teams, right, with the Sea Titan and the Iron Bundle. It wasn't that meta for one reason or another. There's a few reasons, but if it were, I would definitely put him in B. But then by himself, it just by the C comboing, maybe very low B, but it's not common enough, and I don't know. Every time I faced it, then again, I had a Mystic Fire Flutter Mane, so that kind of helped. I don't know. I could see it being B, definitely, and I think I'm getting a little biased with putting in C because of my own personal experience and being able to dispatch it very easily with the Goldango and the Flutter Mane. And then, of course, I had Talonflame a lot, so they were probably kind of scared to bring it out in the first place. I don't know. I definitely... Let me put it in C. I think that it deserves it because of that snow warning. But in my experience, again, I dispatched it very quickly. Weevil, D, which is kind of odd because it does have, again, a high speed stat, but it just does uses. Magneton, I'm going to put... Magnezone, excuse me, I'm going to put in C. Magnezone is just... I don't know. You have that really high attack stat, but anyone with a double weakness is going to be looking, suspect, especially when it's a common as type like it's ground. Ground since Gen 3 with everyone learning Earthquake has just been, kind of taking control of the meta, and so if you have anyone weak to ground, that's already a bit of a knock against you, and then doubly weak to it. And then just that low speed stat. Obviously, if you get a Trick Room, but he has very high special attack, so you can sneak in some good attacks here and there. Leafeon, haven't seen, don't really think it'd be meta. Glaceon, unfortunately, same way. We're missing all the Eevees all in the same place. This is going to be a long, this is good night. I'm going to need some something for my throat here. Okay. Gallade. I'm going to put Gallade in C. I think, kind of like Scizor, he's kind of anti-meta. Not very... Pretty good typing, but it just... Weird kind of move set, and of course, obviously not great speed. But it does have some uses, especially now that we have a bunch of Darks running around with, the Treasures of Ruin. So there's definitely a place for them there. Frostlass, never see it, sucks. Rotom, I would say a solid B. This guy you'll find, quite often, and quite a good usage with that Levitate. Again, kind of talking about the ground being meta. Lilligant, I would place in B. Pretty mediocre by itself, but when combo with the Sun, and after then you got some usage there. Krookodile, I'm going to put in C tier. You got the is it Anger Point or whatever. So you got some usage. I saw Wolfie with that thing where he bought the teams or whatever, and it's kind of gimmicky. So you got something going for you. Zoroark's always been kind of gimmicky, I guess, but not that meta. Gothitelle. This one is a tricky one. I'll be honest with you. I mean, it's on a lot of top players' teams, but she never really seems to pull her weight. And I'm not talking about just the damage, because obviously she's not intended to do that necessarily, but she just doesn't really, I don't know. I don't know. I want to put either top of B tier or A tier. Let me do this. I think I'm going to put most Trick Roomers right now in B, because I don't think Trick Room is that meta currently. But again, once Trick Room comes up, then, whatever. Sawsbuck sucks. No utility whatsoever that I'm aware of. Amoonguss, gotta put Amoonguss up here. Amoonguss has been pretty much always meta for the past, I guess, whatever, 7-8 years plus. It hasn't gone away. Spore, redirection with Rage Powder, good bulk. There's not really a whole lot like about Amoonguss other than the way he freaking looks. Electros, down there, no utility. Haxorus, just because of his stats, I'm going to put him here. I haven't really seen any usage, but I think because of his stats, he probably has some utility. Maybe I put him in D. I haven't seen any Haxoruses, so what can I say? Ferritic, never seen him. D. Cryogonal, never seen him. Bravery, I'm gonna put Bravery here near the top of the C tier. There is some utility for Bravery. There was a team in Fresno regionals recently who had a Bravery. There's a little bit of utility there. I wouldn't go with Bravery, but there is some there. Hydreigon. Okay, this one's kind of tough. Obviously early on in the meta, Regulation A, right? All over the place. And I would put him S tier if I was in a very, very bad mood, A tier. But now, really fallen off with the Flutter Mains all running around. I'm gonna put him A tier still. The bulk is there, and he's a special attacker. I think anyone who's a special attacker in Paldea gets a little bit of extra consideration because there are a lot of physical attackers in Paldea, so I'm going to put him there. Low on the A list, though. Volcarona, I'm going to put pretty high on the B list. A Tailwind Setter, again, so many better Tailwind Setters. Bug typing, never a good type to have. Bad speed, but it has the special attack and there's some bulk there. So going to put him in B, but low B. I almost want to put him in C, but there has been a decent amount of usage. Talonflame is going to be somewhere up here. I doubt S, but I'm going to be putting Talonflame or up King Gambit. Definitely in terms of usage, it's up there. I think sometimes there are better, Tailwind Setters out there. Not now, really. Galewind is just so unfortunate that if someone extreme speeds you or fake outs you, you lose that ability. Whereas something like Prankster, you don't. But still, there's a lot of utility in a Talonflame, just that has the lack of bulk, which is really disappointing. Pavilion, or whatever this thing is called, I'm going to put this in high C tier. Kind of like Bravery, there have been a few teams here have used this Pokemon. I think maybe there's a Tailwind in there and a few other things. I've never seen this guy. No, I've seen it once maybe, I think. Florges, unfortunately, I'm going to put Florges just because I like Florges. No. I think the stats are there to do something with Florges, and then of course typing, but I haven't seen any in the meta, and I haven't battled against hardly any. Go, useless. Dragulge, I'm going to put him down here, and maybe a little higher. My brother was explaining his usage of him. A little bit of the anti-meta going on here. Just such slow speed. Very high special attack, though. Can take some people off guard. but yeah, just that really terrible speed. Again, if Trick Room becomes more meta, then I can see Dragulge going a little higher up in the tier list. But for now, I don't see it putting it higher than C. Cloudwitzer, never seen a Cloudwitzer, maybe once. Okay, of all the EV evolutions, Sylveon's the highest. Now, Sylveon got a lot more usage and was better early on, but I would say it's still a pretty strong option. Yeah, I'll put Sylveon right there. A tier, below A tier. If your opponent isn't ready for it, Sylveon won't steamroll you, but it'll be a big nuisance. Yeah, so. I don't know if I should include some of these, but I'll go ahead. Maybe like Hawlucha. I'll put in C tier. There was, again, similar to Bravery and Pavilion, someone in VGC using it. So again, I've never faced a Hawlucha, but there is utility there. And then we have yeah, I'll put you here. I think there's some usage for you. You've got the bulk, but there's a lot of physical attackers. Excuse me. In the Paldea Pokedex, and you've got lower defense. And then the abilities aren't the best. There's a Sticky Goo, which if you're against a Defiant, heaven help you. And I forget what the other ones, but I've heard the Hisuian or whatever one is better. Klefki. I've actually really thought recently of picking up a Klefki. I'm going to put Klefki here. I wanted to do a Klefki with Foul Play, because the Dazzling Gleam, although you get stab, it's just you have such low special attack that almost certainly you're not investing any EVs into it. You should really use the attacker's attack against them and then use Foul Play. Haven't put it into action, but I've really thought of it, using either Klefki or Grimmsnarl for a Prankster, Reflect, and Light Screen. Avalugg, I'll put in C. There's some usage, but that special defense is just so low that you can't really get much out of it. Wide Guard is good. Access to that is always good, but again, kind of gimmicky. Noivern, haven't seen it. I think the stats would be probably good enough to justify putting in the C tier, but I just haven't seen it, so I can't really say. Gumshoes, never seen it. Crabominable, never seen it. You're kind of gimmicky, so I'll put you high on the D tier, but I'm not really organizing the D tier, to be honest. I think that I'm not organizing the trash, so I'm going to put you there. Lycanroc, I'm going to put very low B tier. Lycanroc has some good usage, but Lycanroc, unfortunately, really kind of has to be paired with a Tyranitar, so you have 2 slots already, allotted, and because otherwise it's just he's not really not a lot of usage, because just no bulk whatsoever, and that's why all of them have Focus Sash. Toxapex, I saw someone use this in the VGC. There's some utility there, and the way I used it was absolutely awful. But I would say not particularly meta. The lack of HP is unfortunate compared to the rest. Mudsdale, I like his ability. Unfortunately, it just doesn't seem like there's a lot of uses. I'm gonna put him down here. I just haven't seen any usage with him. Lurantis, I'm gonna put Lurantis here. Maybe a little higher. The ability's pretty good, but again, the bulk's not really there. Salazzle, I've never seen a Salazzle. Just no bulk. Serena, okay, I've seen Serena a few places. I'm wondering if this should, let me keep it in C tier. I've seen, let me put it, Serena has some utility, so we'll put it high C tier. Oranguru. I'll put Oranguru here. Obviously, I have him on my team right now, but he has his limitations, and he's once you see Oranguru, you kind of know what's coming. So there's a very telegraphed sort of thing going on there. Let's put him there for now. Pessimian, never seen him. Palossand, there is that combo out there with like the water or surf, whatever. I've seen him. Never seen you. Okay, Mimikyu. We used to see a lot of Mimikyu before. I haven't seen a Mimikyu actually for a few months now, I think. I would say Mimikyu would be up here maybe. You know, there's some utility. I think with, again, all the treasures coming out, then it's really seen a downplay in usage. But, you know, I think it still has some viability depending on what you do. Read it, never seen it. You suck. Sorry, it's lower your self-esteem. Corviknight. Okay, this one we've seen a little bit more. I would put this solid B tier. You know, you can take care of it a lot in instances, but it has a good solid usage. I feel like putting it to the clef key because that's what it comes out next to. Let me put it there. You know, the bulk up the roost. You know, it can be pretty annoying to deal with, but typically not a game changer. Typically, you're very similar to the Swift Swimming there. I'll put you a little higher than this other Swift Swimmer because I don't know if you deserve necessarily to be above some of these, but the thing about you is you have Swift Swim and then Rock Slide, so at least you have something that can make you flinch. Other than that, you know, I won't say useless, but borderline useless. This guy's pretty funny, but I'm going to put him in D tier. I know there's a lot of weakness policy people out there, but the typing's horrible, I just have to admit it. I'm going to put Flapple over here, Appleton in D. Flapple has a gravity, you know, Apple plus, you know, the item, whatever, so it makes it for like a one-hit kind of thing, and unless you have better speed, you're going to die in one hit, you just don't have the bulk, so kind of gimmicky, and that's more or less. Anaconda, never seen. Barraskewda, never seen. Toxicity, never seen. Sinsteed, never seen. No bulk. Okay. Hatterene. I would place Hatterene, interesting enough, despite the good typing, kind of low here. I maybe would put it here at best. I don't know. Hatterene, I think on paper, seems like she'd be pretty good. It would be pretty good, but I don't know, and obviously I like the Pokemon, but it just hasn't performed. So, what else further can I say about it? Grimmsnarl. Okay, Grimmsnarl's seen a decent amount of usage. I would put Grimmsnarl top of B tier. Again, when you see a Grimmsnarl, you know what's coming, right? It's like the clef key. You know, you're gonna see the reflect in the light screen, which is kind of interesting because Grimmsnarl just such a physical attacker, right? You know. He doesn't have a lot of bulk as much as he could have. A lot of HP, but defense, special defense aren't the best, and just a lot of attacks. So, you know. Phalanx, never seen. Pinurchin. I'm going to put Pinurchin here. Yeah, I can't really justify putting it higher. Maybe very, very low. Yeah, well, I can justify it. Let's go. Actually, let's see. Pinurchin is such a terrible, terrible Pokemon. The only reason he's not in D tier and goes straight to the bottom of the D tier is because of his ability, Electric Terrain. But I haven't really seen it been used in tandem with Paradox Pokemon. It has been a bit, but not much. And that's because of that. That'll be interesting. I don't know. I haven't played, you know, non-competitive sets with like Miraidon and Koraidon. In this case, Miraidon referencing the Electric Terrain. So I don't see Electric Terrain right now being super meta, but it certainly isn't with Pinurchin. Frostmoth, there is a little bit of things he can do, so I'll put it near the top of the D tier, but there's not a whole lot that Frostmoth can do. Sojourner, I'm going to put him up here. You know, was it the Power Guard? I don't know what it is, but a little gimmicky, you know, pretty bad stats, especially special defense, but wide guard, access to that, and then some other gimmicky stuff. So kind of like Avalugg, but I would say a little bit better than Avalugg because you got the speed there. But yeah, Copper. No. Ice Cube. I've never seen you. Indeedee. Okay, Indeedee. So I'm gonna put Indeedee in the B tier. Strong support Pokemon, kind of like, you know, Mousehold. Yeah, let me put it right here. not a whole lot of utility beyond that. You set the Trick Room, you get the Follow Me up. You obviously have your special ability, which is going to set the Psychic Terrain up, but not a ton of uses beside that. So again, kind of telegraphed. Copperage is kind of interesting. I think the stats are there, but for some reason just doesn't see usage. Dragapult. Okay, Dragapult. This one's interesting. I'm going to put him up here very slightly ahead of Hydreigon. You don't see many Dragapults, so in terms of usage, there would be, Indeedee would be in front, all these would be in front, but I don't know. Dragapult has, has the speed, has the attacks, and can do that good old solid damage. I would say probably a little bit ahead of Hydreigon in the current meta because of that high speed. But yeah, I'm going to put him in low A tier. Meowscarada. Oh, have the mighty have fallen. Okay. Meowscarada, I would put mid B tier. If this were Regulation A, S. Meowscarada was all over the place. The Proteans coming in right and left. One-hit KOs or very close to it. Then Parallax Pokemon came in, entered Fluttermane into every team under the sun and under the moon, and moon blasting away, speaking of the moon, into infinity, and Meowscarada just became, fell off a cliff overnight. So there you have it. There is the sad tale. You, Skeledirge, you never meta. I would put Skeledirge kind of lower end, C tier. Again, if you ignore Skeledirge, there's some, usage in the Torch song, but just the low speed, weakness to ground. Anyone with weakness to ground again. The meta had always passed it by. Quaquaval, Quaxquaval, whatever this thing is called. I'm gonna put it a little higher, but I'm still gonna put it in C tier. Obviously now with the fairies, the fighting was obsolete. But even before, Quaquaval was a bit more gimmicky. If you put it with Pelipper, with Rain, then it could do some pretty good stuff. But again, that's already dedicating 2 slots to the same typing, same weaknesses, more or less. So that's already a potential backfiring. So I'm gonna put right there. I haven't seen any top tier VGC players really using this though. Obviously there was a video with Woofy where he tried it and he used a not typical meta Pokemon against the #1 player, but yeah. Nope. Trash. Also trash. I think you get Revival Blessing, but trash. Okay, Houndstone. Houndstone, by himself, I'm not really sure if it's complete trash or just almost complete trash. But with Tyranitar, with the Sandstorm up, I guess that could mean also with Hippowdon then. Houndstone can cause some issues, especially if he comes out last, which he typically does, and then uses his last respects, and then has a Sandstream. So. Whatever. So he can cause some issues. So with Sandstorm taken into account, which is typically where you see this guy, I would probably place him kind of high C tier. I can't really justify higher than that because you really kind of have to have Sandstorm up. Esparza has some interesting gimmicky stuff. Because of that, I'll put her pretty low down here, but yeah, just whatever. See Haxorus. Really. So, okay. Farigiraf. Going with all these other Trick Room setters. I would say they said it was a premier Trick Room setter. I see more Gothitels though, to be honest with you. So I'll put Farigiraf. I don't really see any Farigirafs in the highest VGC tiers either. I'm going to Farigiraf up here. it's a pretty bulky Trick Room setter, but my goodness, you can just ignore it. It just can't put on the pressure. You set up Trick Room and then you just sit there. So, Woke Trio, you are complete and utter trash. Sorry to hurt your self-esteem. Okay, Don Dozo, if you've been playing VGC and don't know who Don Dozo is, and you haven't been playing VGC, or you've been playing a very special flavor of it, there are Don Dozos all over the place. Now, this guy's a little difficult for me to discern because there's so many flavors of Don Dozo. And, you know, the Don Dozo Tatsugiri combination really is still meta. You know, there's just so many ways you can combine it that it's, you know, one of those tricky strategies that if you're not prepared for it, it will steamroll you. And it's not even necessarily you don't bring the right guys to the team, but maybe you just bring the right guys in the wrong order. Maybe he gets rid of your Tatsugiri Don Dozo combo like a Clear Smog Amoongus, and then brings him out, and then you can't do anything with the rest of your guys. So Don Dozo, I would say he's fallen off a little bit. I would probably still place him up here in A. But it's kind of floating between the two. Again, it really just kind of depends. But I'll put him in A. Even by himself, there have been some guys who bring him in by himself, and he's still good. I haven't seen you at all. Okay, Palafin. Palafin used to be really high. I'll, for the sake of the good old times, I'll still put Palafin up here. Because I think he deserves it. It's a very strong Pokemon, but unfortunately, it does really entail setup. You have to return, obviously, and it just, you know, it wastes a turn. So your opponent knows exactly more or less what you're going to do, and that really kind of hurts. Arbivola. I really like this Pokemon, but I really can't justify putting it that high. It has the bulk, but it really. The grassy terrain is nice, but again, I guess Rillaboom is going to be taking over that spot. I almost don't even want to put it in C. I'll put it in C, maybe a little higher in Haxorus, just because I've seen it get some usage. And the typing isn't bad either. It doesn't see the usage. So, Skull Villain, I'm going to put him high C. This guy is the definition of gimmicky with its moody. You leave this thing alone for more than a few turns, and this can be one heck of a problem to deal with. The problem is, because of his lack of bulk, he doesn't stay alive typically for more than a few turns. So yeah, but especially if the sun up, and then if you go maybe the chlorophyll route, you know, he can do some damage. Belly Bolt. Okay, this guy. I'm gonna put this guy in the low B tier. This guy is, you know, can definitely see some good usage and can definitely bring unaware opponents to their knees with the charge ability or whatever it's called. Room. Very gimmicky. I would maybe put him down here, but even that seems kind of generous. Typing's awful in terms of the ground weakness, but not really all that bad overall. It's just, again, ground weakness. I don't know why I'm bringing up that so much, but I would think in the current meta the typing would be actually pretty decent going against all the fairies, but it just hasn't seen that usage. Orthworm, I've also thought about bringing this guy on. I would put Orthworm solid B tier. Unfortunately, again, doesn't have the special bulk, but if it did, this guy would be very difficult to deal with. As is, though, you know, a Ting-Lu Orthworm combination is, you know, can do some solid damage. Again, you're kind of leaning into the physical there, but again, at least you have Ting-Lu's special ability, which will reduce special attacks, so that kind of helps there. Who's next? Oh, our favorite guy, Mousehold. Okay, this guy is definitely going in the A tier. I would say maybe a little ahead of Don Dozo. Would it be? I'll put it here. Yeah, less utility. Obviously, in the beginning, there was the population bomb plus technician. That's not so much seen now. Now it's a lot more support. You know, with the friend guarding and then the follow me. So yeah, a few different ways you can go. So it's a solid support option. Sea Titan saw more usage in the beginning again with comboing with Abomasnow. Again, kind of the same thing that was with a lot of the Rain Dancers, is you really are doubling up on that typing and therefore doubling up on the weaknesses. Sea Titan itself is has some pretty solid stats, but just not special defense bulk, and then unfortunately just it's outsped by a lot of things, and that really weakens it. I would probably put it somewhere in the mid C tier, maybe around here. Again, if it's comboed with Abomasnow, then it definitely could be placed higher, but it can kind of do some damage on its own. Okay, Baxcalibur, this guy's no joke. I'm going to put him in the A tier, but I'm going to put him here. Baxcalibur is an interesting one. I think there's a lot more potential for Baxcalibur. I think we haven't seen its full potential. One of the things, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of his ability. If it was Flash Fire or something, that'd be a little different. No effects, but fire attacks are just regular to him, so I don't know. I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity there. He doesn't have the speed, unfortunately, as like these two Dragapult and Hydreigon do, and then as much as Garchomp. So he's outsped by a lot of things. He does have access to Ice Shard, which is nice though. So a pretty decent Pokemon. I think maybe again we'll see as people learn more usage out of him. We'll see him more. Tatsugiri, I'll put Tatsugiri solid B tier. There's, Tatsugiri's out there a lot in usage, but obviously not for Tatsugiri, it's for Dondozo. Once Dondozo dies, Tatsugiri can do a little bit, but not much. Not a whole lot. But there are a few people who have brought Tatsugiri by itself. Slickzar, just for the heck of it, you go in the trash bin. Pawmount, I'm going to put you in the B tier, and that's being a little bit generous. You have Revival Blessing, which is really nice, but Pawmount's really just not a good Pokemon. But you do have Fake Out, and then you do have Close Combat, so you can get off a good attack or two with a Fake Out and then that, and then hopefully with a Revival Blessing, but I don't know. It just... I almost want to put it lower. I'll keep it in B tier for now and I'll move on quickly. Kilowattrel, I'll put in the high C tier. Kilowattrel has Tailwind, which is nice and really good speed, but there are other better Tailwind setters like Talonflame. Talonflame has priority. Kilowattrel gets no priority with Tailwind, but very good speed, so you can get that up, and of course the electric power there. So I almost want to put him higher and into B tier, but the problem is I just didn't really find that many Kilowattrels in VGC, and I don't see him used much either in the top meta, so I'll keep him in C, but definitely has a little bit more potential to do pretty well if your opponent's not prepared. I don't know if I should rate these guys like Bombardier. Flamigo, yeah, definitely. C, very gimmicky, the co-star plus Dondozo. Squawkabilly at least has access to Intimidate. Why? I have no freaking clue. Cloth, I've never seen a freaking Cloth. Garganackle. Okay, early on Garganackle was quite meta. Right now he's really fallen out, but then he's kind of made a wee bit of a comeback. I would say pretty low B tier. This guy can this guy can do a little bit, not as much as you'd hope, but he can do it. And I think with a lot of guys going for the water Terra, then he can do more. Okay, Glomora is one of those I really thought when this game first came out that it would see a lot more usage. I'm going to put Glomora here. A little bit higher than... okay, so Pawmount in front of Garganackle is definitely not right. I'm going to put you right there. The thing about Glamora is the weakness to, you know what I'm gonna say, double weakness to that. The low speed doesn't help, but it does have good access to, you know, some pretty good special attack moves. So it is pretty dangerous once it does get to attack, if it does get to attack. And of course, obviously, the Mortal Spin. A lot of players have been utilizing that. Very gimmicky. I'll put it at the top of the D tier for the gimmicks, but you know, you don't really see it. Dash Bun. This guy comboed with any fire, you know, attacking guy can be pretty good. I'm gonna put it pretty high up here. Haven't really seen a lot of top VGC players take advantage of it. It's not really, I think, that meta without that fire ability well baked. Mabostiff is interesting. I'm going to put Mabostiff here. For some reason, I would imagine Mabostiff would have a lot more usage and be a lot more meta. Intimidate is always kind of a bit of a plus. But I don't know if I've ever seen a Mabostiff. We'll have to see if someone uses Bramble Gas. Bramble Gas I'm going to put down here. It's seen a little bit of usage, even with some of the top VGC players comboing with Tailwind. So I've actually, I think I faced it once or twice, but if you can't remember, that's probably not a good sign of it, you know, doing a whole lot. Goldengo. Goldengo's going in the S tier, no doubt about it. I'm going to put Goldengo a little higher than Annihilate. Goldengo's just so good. I don't know if there's really a lot I can, you know, that bears explanation. The ability goes gold. It really is great for switching out, you know, Spores going into switching out, Will-o-the-Wisp switching out into it. And then you get a free switch out in that regard. And then, you know, just good stats all around, good typing. It's just a very good Pokemon. Very good. Okay, now we're getting into the toughies, so we're going to see these top tiers fill up pretty quick. Why are you down there? Okay, so I'm going to put you in the A tier. I'm going to maybe put you a little lower. Great Tusk is very good. Obviously, the special defense bulk leaves a lot to be desired. But a good Pokemon overall, and a lot of utility, a lot of different options it can be going for with either Choice Scarf, or you can go, and of course the Photosynthesis is very useful. Brute Bonnet, definitely lower. I'm going to put Brute Bonnet in the B tier. This guy is pretty good, like all the Parallax Pokemon in terms of stats, but not the best typing. Obviously has a Fairy weakness, and one thing with a Fairy weakness is going to, you know, get a few points docked. But, you know, high attack, Photosynthesis again, and then you have access to Bullet Seeds. Yeah, and Sucker Punch, so you can go first. So you got there. Okay, so you Sandy Shocks. I'm gonna put you a little higher. I haven't seen a Sandy Shocks recently. There's a Sandy Shocks I wasn't prepared for in Portland, unfortunately, and I also a deer in the headlights with that one. Sandy Shocks is not one of the more meta Parallax Pokemon, but still quite a strong option. I would say a little bit more meta than Brute Bonnet. Screamtail. Screamtail. I'll place Screamtail in B tier, mainly because of its relative lack of usage. But it is very good for what it does if you know how to use it. Screamtail is not a, you know, a punch the button sort of thing. You kind of gotta use a lot of, you know, with the disable or the encore disable, you gotta use some strategy and then potential, you know, perish trap as well. So yeah, I'm gonna put it there. Let me move you down a little bit. So yeah, but a little tougher to use. This is the Pokemon, and it has been the Pokemon in the meta for the past several months, a few months now. I think with not the regional before Fresno, there was like, I think 73% of teams had this on it. There's a Fluttermane everywhere, and I've had Fluttermane. I had Gardevoir first, and then as soon as I could switched out for Fluttermane because it was just like such an obvious choice. I think this guy's name is Slitherwing. I've almost never seen a Slitherwing. I think it would, because it has Pro Synthesis, it would be, you know, pretty decent. I just haven't seen it, and it's a bug type if I remember correctly, which is not meta. Anything. Well, let me rephrase that. Anytime it's a bug, you're going to be facing an uphill battle. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to put this pretty low for a Paradox Pokemon. I'm gonna put it down here. I don't know if even any top players have really picked this up consistently that I've seen. Let me put it there for now. I'm not very familiar with it, so apologies if I've hurt anyone's feelings. Screamtail. Screamtail is very good. I would probably put Screamtail. Oh, let me put him in A tier. I don't think. I kind of want to put him in S tier. Roaring Moon. Did I call him Screamtail? Roaring Moon. Roaring Moon is very annoying to deal with and very dangerous attacker. But really has low defense. Really falls pretty quickly as well. So I'm gonna put it top of the A tier for now. I kind of wanted. I could see you putting in the S tier. I wouldn't bulk with that. Very low S tier. I haven't really seen usage with this thing. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of B tier, but just because it has the speed, so it could do something if it wanted it to. I'm kind of intrigued that it hasn't gotten a little bit more usage, but it definitely has not gotten that much usage compared to its Great Tusk counterpart. Okay, this one's seen a decent amount of usage. I'm going to put it a little higher. It's kind of fallen off recently. I'm not exactly sure why. I'm sure, if I looked into it just a wee bit, I'd find out. But Iron Moth I'm going to put there. Still very strong Pokemon. Okay, Iron Hands has never fallen off. I'm going to put this one in the S tier. This one's kind of like Roaring Moon, where I could really see it like being extremely high A or low S, but I think recently, it's just even the past month or few weeks, we've just seen a lot of Iron Hands, and Iron Hands is one of those, it's just a tough Pokemon to bring down, especially when it terrestrializes typically into grass. It's a tough one. You'll often see Iron Hands battling Iron Hands. That was kind of Fresno in a nutshell there. So I'll put it low S tier as of very recently. Iron Jugulis. I haven't really seen this guy too much. I'll say it should be up here, but I would say it would be the lowest of the Paradox Pokemon that I've seen. So I put it there. Iron Thorns. Haven't really seen it either. I'll put it around the same place as him. I think I did see one top player, VGC player, put this in the team and do decently well with it, but not a whole lot of success relative to the others. Iron Bundle up there. I hesitate putting it in S because it just doesn't have the bulk, but it's really good. It has really high speed. It can really, be a nightmare for a lot of teams. But it if you're resistant to it, it actually really can't do a whole lot. Some of these others like Roaring Moon and Fluttermane, they'll still hurt, Iron Bundle can hurt if you use Hydro Pump, but Hydro Pump just does not have 100% accuracy, and Iron Valiant, not a lot of usage, but there is a decent amount of flexibility with this guy, so I'll put it a little higher than these guys. Probably a little bit, it's just a wee bit higher. Probably should be a little bit higher. Maybe Bubonic could go down a slot or two. No, I guess Protestants, Electric Train, you don't really see that, so I'll put it down there. Ting Lu, I'm gonna put Ting Lu. I really like Ting Lu. I'm gonna put Ting Lu as S tier. That might be a bit controversial, but there's nobody like him, right? Everyone before had Intimidate. Now, Wo-Chien has the thing that lowers attack. No one's ever come out and lowered special attack, so that's really a game changer. And Ting Lu, as much as I regret letting go of Garchomp, it's just been such a good choice. Ting Lu just really slows down the pace of the battle, especially when he terastallizes, and it's just even very powerful high, powered special attackers just have so much trouble getting through him. He's never going to be taken out in one hit. That's why guys have Fissure, and he has Ruination, so if you're burned, you can still, do decent damage, at least at, higher HP levels. Tinglu's just, I think he deserves the S tier. Qian Pao, I don't think would be S tier. He is extremely common, but I would put him at A tier. He is very dangerous. He's very speedy. He does a lot of damage, but as everyone knows with the Focus Sash, he's a glass cannon. So you'll get one good move off, two maybe, before you die, unless of course again you're always going first, which is definitely a strong possibility. So you just don't have the bulk. If you were bulkier, even just a wee bit bulkier, I would slap him in the S tier, no second thought. But because there is no bulk, I'm going to probably place him in the A tier. Again, I could see him being placed in the S tier. Wo Qian is definitely the least used and the lowest of the Paradox Pokemon. The Treasures of Ruin. I'm gonna place. So if you're not prepared for him, as you've seen in some of my recent videos, you really give you a big problem. But the typing's not the best. And again, physical bulk really isn't there, and there's more physical attackers in the Paldea Pokedex than special attackers. I'm going to put Wo Qian. I'll put him there next to Klefki because he deserves to be next to Klefki. In terms of comboing together, yeah, you could do a lot more for Wo Qian potentially, but for now. Okay, no, I keep calling it Chiri. That's a, or is it Chi? Yeah, is it Chiri? I don't know. There's a Japanese World War II medium tank, Chiri. So whether you cheat, whatever. I'm gonna put Chi, whatever you are. I'm gonna do this. I was thinking originally A. Chiri is just a similar idea to Tinglu, lowering special defense. He has such high special attack. He really just hurts guys. Now obviously he just doesn't have the bulk. If he had the bulk, again, kind of like Qian Pao, if he just had a little more bulk, slap him in the S tier, no second thoughts. But he does have good enough speed where he can go first, and a lot of the guys that he's weak to, that he's not outspeeding, are probably like the Flutter Mane. Many of them are going to be going for the special attack. I'm going to leave it at S tier. He really does do a lot of damage to teams. I could see it being an A tier, but I'll leave it at S tier for now. And then these guys haven't been there, and neither are the Iron Leaves and Walking Wake, which I really wanted to be for the next regulation, but apparently we're going to get all the Pokemon. So speaking of that, here's my final tier list. Obviously, this is just my opinion based on my experiences and just a few hundred battles. Your experience could be very, very different. There's some of these which I have, probably never even seen before in terms of battling against, which could be very meta, and I could have missed it by 2 or more tiers. So yeah, let me know what you think. Comments, share, whatever you want to do. Hopefully I didn't miss the mark too much, and hopefully you at least got some entertainment value out of it and enjoyed the video. And prepare yourselves for Regulation D. Help us all.